Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Britannia Season 2, the rundown review. So, Season 2 of this show aired in 2019 and ended in 2020. It also has a third season. So far, it hasn't been renewed for a fourth. I haven't even finished the third season yet. The intro, which is really catchy. At first I didn't like it, but now I do, is Donovan's Season of the Witch. And it really does tell the tale of that season. Now, in my first review, I said Season 1 is better than that of Game of Thrones. I stand by that. Season 2, however, even though I've never seen Season 2 of Game of Thrones, Season 2 of Britannia, although it is good, it kind of wavers from what all was the great setup of Season 1. Like, a lot of stuff happens that is interesting, and there's a lot of character development. It goes in a strange direction, almost like it falls off course of what was set up in Season 1, because like Season 1 was setting up this big huge thing, and so then, okay, all right, cool, Season 2, it focuses on certain other characters that I wasn't expecting it to focus on. Now, because the Vernon is very popular in Season 1, Season 2 focused a lot on him and now his resurrected dead brother, known as the Dead Man. And his brother is named Harka. And I will say this, he plays both those roles extremely well. Like, he plays both of them and completely different. Mackenzie Crook, man, that man can act. I'm still shocked and surprised he was the one-eyed dude in the Pirates movie, the Pirates of the Caribbean. And so, like, the man can act. Like, I never knew that. And so I would expect that Season 2 will focus more on Kate, since she is the chosen one to defeat the Roman general. And it kind of doesn't. Like, the first couple episodes really don't focus on her, but then towards the middle and slightly towards the end, it kind of does. And I was very shocked by that, because, you know, she is in fact the chosen one and stuff. So you think it will focus more on her, like it'll be her show and stuff. And her attitude this season is completely different from that of Season 1. It's like she's two completely different characters. Then you get into Season 3 and she's completely different after that. So then I thought, okay, maybe it will also focus on that of like the general, the Roman general dude. And it kind of doesn't. And I'm just like, where is this going? It establishes other characters a lot more. Like I said, the Vernon. It also establishes Pellinor a bit more. Amina a bit more. I'm trying to Anna a little bit more, slightly a little bit more. And I'm just like, could they go into a huge backstory of Amina? And I'm just like, and then her character is so different from that of Season 1. So I'm like, yo, what is like going on and stuff? And then, like I said before, there are some more like character development with some other people that I would expect. But I was expecting more with Kate. I was expecting, like, we do get to see her train, which is cool. But she's been training for 2 years. Yeah, by the way, 2 years has passed. And when we see her train, it looks like she's in the beginning stages of her training and stuff. So while Season 2 isn't bad, like, it's good, it just goes in an odd direction and stuff. And it's like, and then they started adding more elements in there that is part of the character development, some other characters. And it's all like, well, what's the point in really adding this? Because they didn't really explain that too well. And I guess you have to see that in Season 3. So let's dive into this and stuff. First thing first, Amina's husband, Leiden, he does not show up whatsoever in Season 2. I mean, whatsoever. He doesn't even show up in Season 3. And I'm like, what happened to him? He was such a big, integral plot of Season 1. What happened to this dude? Was he just written off? Was he not happy on the show? Did he do something? I don't know, but he ain't there no more. So Stanley Webber is no longer on this show. I'm gonna hurry up and get her character out the way, only because she had a guest role and she was only in there for like 3 minutes, and that's it. Zoe Wanamaker, who's Queen Antita of the Wrigley. She only shows up for 3 minutes. So, okay, 2 years has passed, right? Remember the Roman general, he kind of like set her up and everything and imprisoned her at the end and took her kingdom. So I don't know if he's had her for 2 years, but we see now as 2 years has passed, she is now in a cage being auctioned off at an auction and everything. And she's given up all hope and has been driven mad. And the auctioneer, the female, climbs on top of the cage and pees. And the queen, or former queen, she opens her mouth and drinks it. And she's all like, tastes like wine and everything. And then that's all we see of her. I'm just like, what the world? Like, was she like starring in like another show or a movie at that time and just couldn't film this show? She was such an interesting character from season 1, and this is what they do to her in season 2. Now she does show up in season 3, and she does some pretty good stuff, but yeah, season 2, they just let her character down. Now, the Roman Lucas, the one who blinded Sawyer, Kate's father, he shows up a little bit in this season. He has longer hair now, and we first see him in a flashback. And in this flashback, there is a man being crucified. But he's not just being crucified, he's being like stabbed. And I'm thinking to myself, crucifixion, stabbing, could he be Jesus? And so that's all they show of that. Then later on, as he's wandering, he sees an old friend of his. And his old friend is all like, you were part of the prophecy for that Kate girl. And that's why you blinded like her father. And he's all like, no, I just blinded him because I'm just a hateful man and everything. He's like, no, I'm trying to tell you and everything. And so, he accidentally kills his friend. And then we see another flashback where he's back in the Rome army. He bursts through like a hut, and there's only like an older woman there, and he slaughters her. I'm all like, could that be the Virgin Mary? And it is. He killed the Virgin Mary. He killed Jesus. And he did it with a spear. And his friend told him that spear is very powerful. What did you do with it? He buried it. He brought it with him and he buried it. And he's all like, why did you keep it? And he's all like, I just liked it for some reason. No, that spear is part of the prophecy. The blood of Jesus is on that spear, on the blade area. And now he has to get this spear to Kate somehow. But nobody knows where she's at. And so as he's wandering around, he gets stopped by the Roman guards and everything. And he gets stopped by Vitus. And so they talk it out a little bit, but then Vitus let him go for some reason. And he takes his spear. And so now he's wandering around looking for Kate and stuff. I heard to get these two guys out the way, only because they're so funny, man. I swear to God, these two Roman soldiers from season 1, they show up in one episode of season 2. One of them shows up in season 3. I have no idea. They show up in season 3 as well, but they show up in seasons 2 as just guest stars on one episode. Is Brutus and Fairlow, I think that's how you say his name. Remember the one that tried to assassinate the general dude but failed, and then they went off and they found that hut and that medicine hut, and they started getting high and stuff in season 1. Well, in season 2 they're still getting hot. And as they're wandering around, they see a battalion of guards. So they hit the ground as hard as they can. They're like, crap, dude, we're high, and there's a bunch of Roman guards and stuff. So they climbed the highest tree they could, and they're all like, you know what? We used to be like them. We should free them and everything. So they sneak into camp. They put the shroom mushrooms in the drinking water. Oh my God. Episode 6 of season 2 was a party. Those Roman guards were high off their butts. All of them except for 2. The 2 that took watch on the towers. All them guards were partying, dancing, prancing around. Some of them were naked. Yeah, there's a lot of man booty in this. There was one naked man riding a horse backwards. Oh boy. They was having a blast. So then all of a sudden, the 2 former guards, they started stealing the boots of the guys. I guess they needed new boots, and they go into a tent. Well, in that tent is Vitus, and he's high too. And he starts to weep, telling them that Rome is not his home. His home country was invaded by Rome. They slaughtered his people when he was a young age. They took him and stuff. And his father told him, sing this song and nothing will ever harm you. So then as Brutus and Philo are leaving, they're all like, we did a good thing today. High off their butts and stuff. So then the 2 guards on the tower, they're all like, this is witchcraft. We have to tell the general. And so they have to, one of them has to ride out and find the general and stuff. Well, as this is all going on, there's a bunch of Britannian villagers in a cage. And they tell the high guards, hey, you should let us go. This is what your gods would want. And so they let them go. They don't make it far. Why? Well, we find out why the Druids scared the crap out of Julius Caesar. I'll get into that a little bit later. Now, there were 2 other like new guards, like a duo that kind of takes the place of Brutus and Philon and stuff like that. But they don't last long. They get high, they have some hilarious scenes. As the Druids is slaughtering people, one of them runs off and the other one gets killed. So sadly, this new duo came to an end very shortly. So General Aguilas Platius, I would assume he would have had a bigger role, or at least did more in this season. I would at least thought he would have said some cool stuff like he did last season. But sadly, even he kind of got reduced, and his role was just bizarre. He basically just stayed on the sidelines as everything happened. I'm like, what happened to that fierce general, man, that like played both the Canty and the Rigny and everything? Like, that dude is kind of gone. So he's all for this whole Leica thing, that whole god thing. He's trying to like resurrect or whatever. And at so in the beginning, he's just taking a bunch of communal baths with a bunch of like people from the land, and then the emperor comes to visit. The Emperor Claudius. So that's an emperor I've actually never heard of. When I was taking up a Roman history class in college, that's one I've just never heard of until now. But basically, he's there and he's telling the general, oh, you're doing such a good job taking over the lands of Britannia. We want you to come back to Rome. And Platius does not want to go back to Rome. He wants to continue this demon god thing. He wants to like resurrect or whatever. And so he's telling him, you know what, because he's the emperor, like, you're coming back whether you want to or not. Well, Platius drugs his water, spikes his water or wine or whatever. And as Claudius is slipping in and out of consciousness, he's all like, what happened to me? And he's all like, I drugged you and everything. And so then he says that, like, he has a higher purpose than that of Rome. His purpose is that of like Leica. And then he says, my name is hell, and wherever I walk is hell, and wherever I piss is hell. And then he pees on the emperor. So I'm assuming, and then he drowns the man, right? He shoves his head down in the water. Then all of a sudden he drags his big naked hind out for all the guards can see. He's all like, help, help. The emperor's been like poisoned and stuff. And so Yeah, it's a lot of man booty. Oh God, it's a lot of man booty. A lot. A lot. And they show a lot for a long time as he's laying on his stomach. Oh God, it's a lot. And so he sticks something down his throat and makes him throw up so that he won't drown no more. And so then he's all like, get him to like a healing hut and everything. So then all of a sudden the next day, as he recuperates, he's all like, I'm heading back to the Claudius. So like I'm heading back to Rome, but I'm going to give you, I guess, like this advisor type guy. I don't know his name. I think they might have mentioned it, but I don't remember his name. Um, I have no idea what the dude's name is. I can't even find it online right now. And so he's gonna leave his advisor there to help him. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, Claudius heard him say, and like that he poisoned him, all this, and not only that, but Platius pissed on him. But I guess he was so poisoned and drugged, he was unable to see and hear. So he leaves Platius there in Britannia along with his advisor. I guess I'll get into Fernan now. Fernan has been gone these 2 years. Him and Anina have like split up. And so he's been wandering around Britannia and he finds this village where he has now a wife and he made a son. And he's just sad and like, depressed and stuff, even though he has this new family. He misses being like a prince. He wants to be king. So he takes a bunch of silver coins that she had and he takes them to the auction where Queen Antina was there. And there's something else they're auctioning off. His sister's severed head. Yes. Kira. So her head is now rotted and green. And so it turns out that Platius ate her heart when he ripped it out and then he just beheaded her. So a bunch of people are bidding for it, but he bids the highest because he wants his sister's head and he takes it back to his village. He's sad, he's lonely, he's depressed. And in the middle of the night, he tells his wife he's been lying to her. He said that, I forget what he names himself, but he names himself like Ron or something like that. And he's all like, that it's not my real name. He's like, my real name is like Felon of the Canty, and I used to be a prince and I was supposed to be king, but the gods made my sister queen, and this is her head. And his wife is kind of like freaking out. She's like, where's the money? He's all like, I bid it on this head. She's all like, you are not a prince and you are not Felon of the Canty. He's like, yes I am. Well, she tells her brothers, her huge brothers, his brother-in-laws, and they beat the snot out of him. They're all like, say your real name. You are not Felon of the Canty. He's like, I am. So they keep torturing this man. They tie him up to 2 horses and pull his limbs. They're punching him, beating him. They drowning him in water. They're like, say your real name and stop lying. You're not a prince. He's all like, I am a prince. I am. This makes for one hilarious moment. So then they pull his pants down. They get a hot poker out the fire. They're all like, your last chance, man. Say your real name. You are not a prince. He just stands there waiting to take it up the butt. And then he's all like, and then he gives up. He's all like, I give up. And he says, I am Ron. And then he's laying in bed next to his wife, and she's like, good night, Ron. And everything. Oh, God. That made for one hilarious moment. So, in the middle of the night, again, he takes his sister's head. He says goodbye to his wife and son as they sleep, and he leaves, and he never goes back there. He has now abandoned his son. Well, as he's traveling, he meets a mysterious man, the dead man, Harka, the brother of Vernon. the firstborn man of that world from 10,000 years ago. Harka bewitches him. And so he sends him on a quest and everything. But first he brainwashes him and tells him this inscription on like his sister's head. And Harka lies to him what this description is. So then he sends him on a quest to find 3 boys. And he's controlling Felon and everything. And he finds these 3 boys. A young boy, a middle child, and an older boy. And he takes them back to Harka. Harka asked him a bunch of questions, like what's the most powerful thing in the world? And one boy's all like money, the other one's like weapons, and then the middle child's all like love. Love is the most powerful thing ever. This pleases Harka. When Fernan comes back, he finds that first he bewitches the boy. He carves something in his back. Then when Fernan comes back, he sees something. Only one boy is left. The other 2 have been crucified in a tree in a starlight form, and their insides ripped completely out. It is disgusting and grotesque. But Fernan is still under like his spell and everything. Well, let's get to the Druids now. The Druids, remember, they left that area of land that they was in before. The Druids aren't as interesting as they were in season 1. They still look like moss people and tree people, but they're just less interesting, and they dance a lot less. And but there seem to be different types of Druids. In season 1, we saw the more spiritual, magical ones. And this season, we see the warriors. The warriors are decked out in warrior gear. They're mean, they're ferocious. And one of them is kind of like, a head warrior type dude. He's all like, where is Kate? We need to protect her. And the Vernon is all like, she's with, Divis and everything. He's like, Divis is a fool and everything. How can you let her go with him? And so then the Vernon has like a vision at some point. And one of the older Druids named Quan, who's played by David Bradley from Filch in the Harry Potter movies, and he was also in that vampire one type TV show on FX. He tells Willa that the Vernon is lying. He saw a vision. So Willa goes to him, is all like, Quan said you saw a vision, and he's all like, he's lying. You should believe me and everything. He's deceiving them. This causes a division in their ranks. So the head warrior dude challenges Vernon to some kind of like old traditional fight type thing. You have to fight with this giant sword thing. It's curved and it's huge. Basically, it's like this. There are 2 sides to this sword on the hilt. An oak tree and a river. So it's kind of like heads or tails, right? And so you get to pick one. You take the big sword, you toss it in the air, and whatever side it lands on, you get to strike first, while the other person just sits down and take it. A weird tradition, but it is their tradition. You know what I'm saying? So the warrior dude gets the side that's chosen. So Vernon has to sit there. He strikes at his face, but the blade doesn't go completely through. It only slices part of his cheek. Because I guess the Vernon is so powerful and stuff, right? He's over 10,000 years old. So now it's the Vernon's time. And of course, he chops the dude's head off. Well, this causes the division to get even stronger. So half of them stay with Vernon and the other one wants to go with the dead man. Now, at this point in time, a lot of people don't know the dead man has risen. But Quan knew that. And so this is going to cause like huge problems, right? Well, let's get back to episode 6. Remember when I said those high guards left those prisoners escape? Well, they didn't go far because the Druids stopped them, the ones that are with the dead man. I don't know if they killed the prisoners, but they slaughter the Roman guards. Now, Anya, remember her from the Rigney that fell in love with Fannin and had that baby? Well, the Vernon said that, you are supposed to give up your son, and she doesn't want to and everything. But he forces her, says it's the will of the gods. She joins the dead man. We see a different side of her. She is a warrior. I had no idea she was a warrior. She never struck me as like a warrior type, And she's killing, beheading people left and right. They behead every single last guard there, but they leave Vitus alone. He starts singing his song to protect him. They send him to deliver a message and everything as they put their markings on him. But the question is, what did they do with the heads? Well, I'll get into that as soon as I get into Amina. Amina has a huge role in the second season. One I was not seeing coming. So Platius sends her to a kingdom to persuade. So this is what she's been doing for the past 2 years. She goes to village, telling the people, look, Rome's coming. I'm part of Rome. I'm the queen of the canty now. You best just give up or they're gonna slaughter you. So sometimes people betray their own people, like their brothers, and so they can become like the ruler of that like kingdom area, so the Rome can take over. We see this happen where a brother turns on his other brother and they mark certain people and they burn the people who are marked. So he sends her to this kingdom and she goes there to meet her sister. Her sister is the queen. I forget what her sister name is. Yeah, I just forget. There's actually a couple of people from Harry Potter in this I see now. But anyway, jeez, I wish I knew her sister's name. Hold on a second. Let me look it up. Andra. Her sister Andra. So she goes there to talk to her sister, and it's a great moment. She hasn't seen her sister in years. She's all like, Amina, why did you like leave so long ago? Because you never came back and blah, 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 blah. And so, with that, there's like this priestess lady who doesn't trust Amina. So she spies on them. Now, Amina tells her sister, Andra, like, the Romans are coming, blah, 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 stuff like that. And she's all like, the will of the gods, and, will protect us, and blah, blah, blah. And so basically, Amina wants to turn her against the Druids and the gods. She's all like, I will never do that. Because the gods and the Druids say there is a demon within my castles and stuff. And so, like, at some point, it's blamed on Amina. And when it is, she's in prison. Now, Amina's mom has been driven mad and is locked in the room where she just talks to herself. She goes to her mom at one point, and she tells her mom, let me tell you a story of one little girl, a queen, a king, and a princess. The princess was waiting for the solstice to name herself, and the king came in and raped her. And then the queen did absolutely nothing. The princess had a child at a very young age. And this child was made to pretend to be her sister. Yeah, you guessed it. Disgusting. So, it turns out Amina is actually a princess. And her father, the king, raped her. And Audra is not her sister, but her daughter. And so Amina left and went with the people of the canty. This came out of nowhere. There was no indication of this in season 1. In season 1, she was just a vixen who wanted to get up high in the ranks and everything. But it turns out she's royalty and everything. And so At some point, Audra is standing out in the courtyard. Vernon is there. See, Audra is the key to the Lake of Tears, and the Lake of Tears belongs to the gods on which man can be reborn. And that is what the dead man, Harper, wants. The Roman general dude also wants that as well. So all of a sudden, Vernon and like a bunch of people out in the court, and all of a sudden, heads start flying over. Hundreds of heads. It's the Roman soldiers that were high that the Druids decapitated. Now we see why Julius Caesar feared the Druids and everything. And everybody's screaming as there's like raining heads and everything. And then the Vernon picks up one, is all like, well played, brother. And stuff. So at some point in time, as Vernon is talking to Amina and everything, she's all like, I'll tell them the truth. I'll tell them what you did, how you spoke with the Roman general and blah, 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 and this and that. Well, anyways, Harka shows up at some point. Well, Vernon already left. He tells Audra the truth about who she really is and who her mother is. She is heartbroken by this. She says goodbye to her sister. They free the father. The father was actually imprisoned inside the wall where they fed him through like a hole and stuff. They freed him. They freed the mother. Then she kills herself and everything because she couldn't take the idea of her being born to incest and stuff. Then the priestess, the mom, maybe the dad too, I don't know. They all burn themselves, leaving Amina left. So of course, Platius comes in and he like takes over the kingdom and stuff. Amina is upset because Platius used her to find the Lake of Tears and destroy this whole kingdom and stuff like that. Now her daughter's dead, her mom's dead, like everybody that she knew now there is dead. And she is starting to have second guesses and stuff. So at some point, you know, after like banging him, she like leaves and stuff, right? And she's crying, she's like upset. She sees Willa in the woods, and then so like they have an exchange and everything. I'll get to another part later. First, let me get to Willa, because she has a minor role in this as well. Now, Willa, the moss-looking lady, she has a bigger role than that of season 1, but it's still small. So, do you remember the bounty hunter lady that the Romans hired? She comes back, and she's as sarcastic as always. Well, Platius, of course, is pissed at her because she didn't find Kate, because she gave him away to the Druids. But she's all like, I have something better for you, and when I give this to you, you better give me my weight in silver. She gives her Willa and everything. And yeah, they give her weight in silver. They put her on a scale. They put a bunch of silver pieces in her weight in silver. So Willa is the prisoner now of the Roman Platius. He wants to know everything about the Druids and this and that. And so she wants to tell. So he brings in this kind of like torturous butcher type dude, a huge black man. And he's all like, all right, lady, this is how this is going to go. He grabs her hand and chops all her fingers off. Oh my God, that was freaky. It happened so fast. Like, you think he was going to talk to her, torture her a little bit, but no. He just yanks that hand and chops those fingers off. She's screaming, she's hollering. And then so he gives her a drink of water. But first he takes a sip. Well, he has a beard. One of his hairs falls in the water. She's all like, is this you, your little hair? So she does her druid magic and she bewitches him. She makes him walk out to a fire and sets himself on fire. So the campfire, he just walks into it and sets himself on fire. So then in comes Platius. Now, she should have said, hey, free me first, but she didn't. I guess she wanted to play around with Platius. So he's all like, I took your fingers, so what do you want? You can have any body part of mine you want. She's like, I want a finger. He's like, which one you want? She's like, I want the pinky and everything. So he chops his finger off. I'm just like, what the world? And then he puts a fake prosthetic one on. And so that looks like a giant claw. So then he's all like, well, take my finger. You wanted it so bad. I'm thinking to myself, dude, what's he going at? Because she touches it, she can bewitch him and everything. But then I'm all like, wait, hold on. He probably has something up his sleeve. So she tries to brainwash him, bewitch him. It does not work, and it backfires on her, causing her to have a seizure. and she's all like, "You're no mere like mortal man," and it's like oh, I thought that might have been you. So she knows who that demon god person is. So she helps him out and she tells him everything he wants to know, all about the dead man. So now he's fascinated about the dead man. He lets her go, and so he gets that bounty hunter lady again. And so he's all like, so she takes him to see the dead man. But this time she now has a patch over her eye. And he's all like, "Why you got a patch over your eye?" And she's like, "My child scratched my eye." And he's all like, "You have children?" She's like, "I have plenty of children." She's just a weird character. So she takes him to go see the dead man. They make a pact, and they're gonna like join forces and stuff. Cause they both want the same thing. He wants Kate, he wants his brother. They both want the Lake of Tears. And so now they're working together and stuff. Now we get to Vitus. Vitus, he is very loyal to the general and everything. And so remember I said the Druids let him live, or he goes back to the general and tells him everything they want him to tell him. Now the general doesn't trust him no more. And so the advisor dude, he wants Vitus to tell him everything the general has done. And Vitus, he sings like that of a canary. Because the thing about Platius, when he gets drunk, he tells everything to Vitus. He told him how, like, why he's really in Rome, about that demon god thing he wants to resurrect, about how he poisoned and pissed on the emperor, about how he's always disappearing in the middle of the day and go visits the Vernon and stuff, how he's now working with the dead man and everything, and how he has no interest in Rome and only for himself. So after they write all this down, he sends Vitus home to Rome with the two men that wrote this down so they can tell the emperor, and so put a stop to this, because the advisor hates Platius to death, and he's already threatened to expose him at one point. So Vitus is actually going to do that. He's going on to Rome to tell everything and stuff after he wrote down a confession. Well, the dead man was able to see this, and those markings he put on him, he's able to control him. He controls Vitus. Vitus kills the two men that he was escorted with, and he takes the scroll, the confessions. I don't know what he does with confessions, but he takes them. And after that, he aligns himself back with that of the general. Now, Platius does kill the advisor, dude. After the advisor dude mouthed all talking about how like you're exposed and this and that. So nobody in Rome is ever gonna find out what Platius is doing. Now, Harka's a very interesting man. He loves apples, green apples. He's always giving them to people. He has a legion of druids willing to do whatever he wants and fill him. And so, like I said before, he bewitched that one boy to go find Kate and everything. He wants her dead and stuff because he needs the general where he needs to resurrect whatever it is he needs resurrected. But he wants to take the Vernon's place and everything. So he wants to kill his brother. And so it turns out Aya is a double agent. She's actually working for Vernon and everything. She bangs this one female druid and everything, and that really doesn't go nowhere. There's a couple of storylines that just don't go nowhere. But she's upset at Vernon for making her get rid of her son, but she's actually working for him. And so she's like the inside mole and stuff. So she like gets the sword, gives it to Vernon, tells the dead man to meet him at a certain place, this and that, right? Well, actually, you know what? Before I get into that, let me get into Kate. I haven't talked about Kate. Why? Because Kate is actually barely in this show. There are like 27 episodes, but she only appears in like maybe 19 at the most and everything. And so, you know, there's probably a reason why this season, well, no, this season's directed by some of the same people, but season 3 is directed by completely different people. Mackenzie actually, Mackenzie, he actually directs a couple episodes in season 3. That's really cool when actors and actresses get to direct stuff and write stuff and stuff like that. So Kate, what has she been up to, you wonder? She's been with Divis this whole time, and she's been training. Her appearance is slightly different. She's wearing different clothes. The first time we see her is at the end of the first episode. She only appears as a cameo in the first episode. She's wearing wings and everything. And Div is all like, you must learn the elements, air, fire, water. And I don't think he ever says earth. So then he's all like, you must leap off this like mountaintop and fly like a bird and everything. She just looks at him. She don't say nothing, but she's kind of hesitant. But she does it anyway. She runs, she leaps, she falls. Falls very, 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 very far down. The next episode, she has like a broken arm. and so her personality has changed a lot from season one. She's not that nice girl no more. She's very stubborn this season and has a lot of attitude, mostly towards Divis, because Divis treats her like crap. And so she's always shouting at him and cussing him out and smacking him and stuff. It's a little bit what we saw last season, but a whole lot more. It happens the entire season. It's to the point where she's becoming an unlikable character. She's very whiny sometimes, but sometimes I expected her to be whiny because Divis makes her go like 2 days without eating and stuff, and he'll eat in front of her, and she's all like, I'm so hungry, can't you give me some of your food? And he's all like, no, you must learn to do this and do that and blah 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 blah. So I understand why she gets mad at him and stuff. And then one time he makes her sleep outside underneath like a couple of branches and bushes while he sleeps in the cave, and it's like raining, and she decides, you know what, screw this, and she goes in the cave and sleeps, and he's all like, no, you can't sleep next to me and next to the fire. She's like, yes I am. And stuff. Well, at some point in time, for some reason, he has a dream that she comes on to him. I don't know why, but that only lasts for like a couple of minutes, and thank God, because I did not want to see that. He's too old for her. And she still hasn't chosen a name yet because the whole solstice thing got interrupted. So she's learning all this druid magic type stuff, and I'm thinking, you know, how is she going to defeat the Roman dude? Is it going to be a fight? Because so far there's no fighting in this show. This show has like no fighting in it. The Druids did kill the Romans, but it was a one-handed fight and not much of a battle. So her next task, she's supposed to learn the water. So she has to turn herself into a fish. I'm like, what? So this really is magical show and everything like that. So she does it, and she jumps into the lake, and she turns into a fish, and she's swimming around. And then all of a sudden, she sees somebody, a boy. He's drowning. It's that boy that was bewitched by the dead man. So she rescues him. Divis is not happy. He doesn't want this boy nowhere near her. Mainly because he has a crush on her, and he doesn't want to divert her from her mission, because she's been training for 2 years, remember? And it's been said that her powers are growing stronger every year. But I'm just like, how? But we do get to see how later on in the series. Like I said, it does start to focus on her more towards the middle and then end. So she befriends this boy, and she takes a liking to him, a huge liking. And she pretty much asks like Divis to let him stay. And when he says yes, she's all happy and gives Divis like a hug and everything. So they're still training. And one of her next tasks is that she has to forge a weapon out of gold magma and everything. So she has this huge cauldron. Inside it is liquid like gold, getting ready to like, you know, harden and everything. So she has to carry that thing by herself and stuff, and mark her arm. So she has to hold it, and it's burning the crap out of her. She's pleading she can't do this. She's not strong enough. Well, the boy decides he's gonna help her. Divis is shocked by this, and he's just like, why is he doing this and stuff? So they do it, and she forges a golden bow and stuff. Well, at some point in time, she sees the boy back, and there's like a giant like bird symbol on there. And she's like, oh my God, you're part of the prophecy. Because part of the prophecy says that she will be carried by like some type of bird type thing. She tells Divis. So Divis starts taking a liking to him slightly and everything. But then the boy starts acting weird towards Divis, and it's all like, I will never let you hurt her and stuff. So then, of course, because he's being bewitched by that of the dead man. So At some point in time, the boy, so Divis tries to bewitch the boy and put him under hypnosis. Because the dead man's in control, it backfires and it bewitches that of Divis. Divis is like paralyzed at this point. And the boy cuts himself with markings, gives the knife to like Divis, runs to Cates all like, help, help. The demon Plika has taken over him and blah, 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 blah. And he's trying to kill me. So they flee. And Divis is finally able to like, you know, gain control of his body. And then so the boy tells Kate, like, you know, why did your friend do this? And you know what she says? Divis is not my friend. I'm just like, what? The dude, you've been hanging with this dude for 2 years. Yeah, y'all don't get along, but he's training you and taking care of you just like the father wanted and stuff. And so, oh, I haven't even mentioned her father yet. I'll get to that a little bit later. Anyway, so how could she say that? Then as soon as she says that, she shows the boy some of the magic that Divis has taught her, and she disappears. Where did she go? She's talking to him. Is she the clouds? Is she the air? Like, what is she? Because we can't see her, but we can hear her voice in a very godlike type way. And then she reappears behind him and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, so you say the dude's not your friend, but then you're showing him the magic tricks and stuff. Like, that's kind of messed up. So at some point in time, you know, they're hanging out and they're camping out, and the boy starts to remember a little bit who he is, because he's forgotten who he is because he's been brainwashed. Then the dead man starts to appear in his form. And so Kate is very stunned by this, and so she does something. She grabs him from behind and she heals him and somehow is able to drive the dead man out his body. Well, after this, he remembers who he is. He's a fisherman and everything. He remembers his name. It's Malin. Now, at first I thought they said Merlin. I'm like, what? But no, it's Malin and everything. Not Merlin the wizard. So then, she's happy. They kiss, and then see at some point in time now, Philin has left the dead man. He has left the dead man. He found Divis at one point, and then so he's all like, I need atonement and everything. Because he bewitched that boy, help bewitch the boy that hurt Kate. So he finds the boy and they give each other a hug. And he's all like, I'm sorry. And he kills Malin and everything. Kate is distraught. She's upset. And she just like hollers and screams. Well, Felon leaves and finds Quan. And he's all like, and Quan's all like, you fool, what did you do? He's all like, atonement. And then he looks at him, he's like, ah, crap. So then Philin talks to Quan for a long time and is all like, you know, just kill me now, man. I've screwed up. He's all like, no, there's much more for you to do. Your journey has just begun and everything. And then so he sends him to the people of the Druids. And when he's with the Druids, before then, he meets Amina in the woods. And they embrace each other with a hug and everything. So I'm like, okay, where is this gonna go? So let me get into Kate's dad, Sawyer. So we see him at first, right? He's being captured by some Romans, and later on he escapes, don't know how. But then Platius gets so upset because he wants the girl dead. He wants Kate dead. So what does he do? He has his guards find every little girl in Britannia and murders them. But of course he doesn't get Kate because Kate has been like with Divis far, 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 far away. So then we see Sawyer again. We see him with Lucas and everything. And so of course he can't see. And as he's talking to Lucas and everything, he's all like, you sound familiar. And Lucas knows who he is. And he's all like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, oh no, I recognize that voice. I will remember that voice as the man who blinded me. Lucas starts breaking down, and Sawyer can tell that he has atoned for his sins. And he's nice to Lucas, and he tells him, the next time you come across my daughter, protect her. Because he knows now Lucas is no longer that evil man he used to be for some reason. So Divis is upset that Kate has ran off with Malin. And so he takes the bow and he sits down. And then as he sits down, he can't get up. He's been bewitched. There's the markings of the dead man on his forehead. He doesn't know that yet. So he just sits there all day, all night. He befriends a rabbit and talks to the rabbit. Then all of a sudden, Phelan shows up, walks past him and sits by him. Divis is annoyed. He's all like, get away from me and everything. Like, he's just like upset about this being upset, right? And he never once asked Divis, hey, help me get up. Like, take this thing off my forehead after he sees later on what it is. Because he looks into the eyes of the rabbit and he can see through the reflection. So he never asked that. Divis is such a strange, bizarre character, man. But he's hilarious, and the actor does a great job of like playing him. And so like that's when Phelan leaves, and like he's looking for atonement. And so then he's all like, oh hey, the marking on your forehead, and it's all like something about the daughter of a blind man. So Divis all like, ah crap. So he's all like, hey man, come back over here. But then he just keeps walking away. So he sits there again another day and another night, and Quan shows up and they're like, you idiot, you have one job and you fail. And he's all like, but I'm the guardian of like, you know, the blind father's girl and stuff like that. He's like, you was, but not no more. The Vernon is very upset with you. And then he tells him something. He tells him that he trained him to be one of the best druids. And the Vernon was very impressed by Divis. So much that the Vernon wanted Divis to replace him when he got older. But then Divis got taken over by Plika. He even tries to call on Plika to get him out of that, like, to get him up, but couldn't. So then Quan's all like, look, man, Vernon loves you and everything, and maybe he'll give you one more chance. So he's going to help him. He makes a concoction up of like all these herbs, and he blows it up the nose of Divis. Divis all like, well, I don't feel nothing. Then all of a sudden, whoa, he zones out, and he's high off his butt. This makes for one hilarious scene. And so then the next morning, Quan is gone. Divis is free. He takes the golden bow and he leaves. Now we get to the last interesting part. The part about the two brothers, the twin brothers. Finally, Vernon and Harka meet face to face. The epic blowout between these two. The epic battle, right? It's been building up all season. And what happens? Of course, there's no fighting in this show. So, they have that ritual sword. They pick. Harka picks the oak. Vernon picks the river. They flip it. It lands on the oak. So I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So Vernon's about to probably die now. Because Vernon is very weak from last time. Harka picks up the sword, talking about how, like, you know, he's gonna rule and this and that, you know, typical bad guy type stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you built all this crap up. I was expecting this huge magical battle, and it never happens. He takes the sword, he's gonna chop off Vernon's head, then all of a sudden he stops. Blood drips on Vernon's face. Where does it come from? Somebody shot Harka in the face with a golden arrow. It was Divis. So Divis tells Vernon, oh, by the way, Harka dies. So Divis tells Vernon, I did good, right? Like, you're happy now, right? And he's all, and Vernon just looks pissed. He just looks pissed. And then he takes the arrow out, and he chops off the head of his brother. And he's all like, you are the Vernon's arrow. And then he walks off with the head. And Divis is calling, I thought I was the guardian. So then Vernon goes back to the village of the Druids that had broken off from him. The one that hung out with like the dead man. And he shows the dead man's head, showing that he is victorious. So what do these people do? They go back on the side of Vernon. And then he just accepts them and everything. And they accept him. Like, what the world? Like, y'all betrayed him. Now y'all back with him. Well, anyway, Anya is giving back her son. Phelan has now joined up with the Druids and everything. So I guess him and that whole Amina thing just ain't gonna happen. And so then we see Vernon out on the boat, and he is like, he has the head of his brother, and he tosses it in the lake. And as it falls down, we see tons of other heads down there, thousands of heads, with the markings of the dead man on top of there. His disciples, I'm guessing. Now, let's get to Kate, because something interesting happens to her towards the end. She has Malin's body, and she's getting ready to send it to the underworld. And then Quan shows up, and he tells her, before you can send it to the underworld, it has to be purified, this and that. She doesn't want nothing to do with him. She's tired of the Druids, she's tired of everybody. But then she lets him stay and purify the boy's soul so he can go to where it needs to go. Then he talks to her, and he tells her the story of Vernon and Harka. And he tells her everything about them, how they was brothers, and their parents, this and that. So then she's all like, she doesn't want none of this. She just wants to be an ordinary, normal little girl again and everything. Now she has chosen her name, Kate. When Malin told her his name, she says, my name is Kate. So she decides she's not going to pick a new name. She's just going to keep her own name. And so then towards the end, we see her in the woods by herself, and she's like, screw it. She's coming for him. And then it cuts to a picture of the Roman general and stuff. What happens in episode 1 is shocking. I did not see coming. So all in all, this was like a pretty enjoyable season. Like, it had some nice character development and stuff, you know what I'm saying? It still had no action battle, except for that one slaughterhouse beheading and stuff. It had a hilarious high scene. But it just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like a departure from last season. In last season, you can clearly tell Rome was coming. They was taking over. They was betraying people left and right. They was tricking folks. The Druids were very interesting. They had a lot of great visuals and stuff in the landscape. And then this season comes in, it's just kind of like, okay, let's train Kate halfway into the series, get rid of her. It started focusing on characters that were kind of like, what was the point of focusing on them? But then it gave them subplots that's supposed to progress into more of a bigger story, but their character development was only given to them so that it could have this plot thread that was now added into the series that came out of nowhere. And then so I was expecting a lot more people to have more interesting backstories and stuff, but that never happened, like the general. Now the general does have an interesting backstory in season 3 and stuff, but I'm like, why they didn't give him one in season 2, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, it was just kind of like, I like this season, but I just don't think it's as great as the first. And I remember when this came out, I read like a lot of comments from people. People love this season, talking about how this is like the greatest show ever. But this is a really good show, but nobody never talks about it. And I don't know why. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.